Sponsored by the Big 98, Nashville's #1 for new country and the home of the Bobby Bones Show.
Welcome to the Rock and Review. I'm thrilled to have on singers, songwriters, authors. They do it all. Vanessa Olivarez and also Elizabeth Elkins. Thanks for coming on the Rock and Review.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having us.
Well, I'll tell you what, I really have been enjoying your brand new book that came out. It's called Hidden History of Music Row. And, I know you also worked with Brian Allison on this, but what an incredible book. And, and I was kidding you before we started the interview. I wish you could have gotten a bigger country name to write the foreword for you.
Yeah, me too. I mean, what a washed up guy, right?
Yeah, only Kix Brooks of Brooks and Dunn writes the foreword. I'm like going, yeah, as if the book wasn't amazing enough already.
Oh, well, thank you.
Well, it was great. Kix is a true supporter of Music Row's history and really wants to see things saved on Music Row. So it was a really perfect match. We're very fortunate that he did it.
Well, and it's so much fun with this book that you guys did to where you really uncover a lot of history of Music Row, far back, with the fur trader stuff, with everything that you went through, but also the great pictures. And many of the pictures within your book have not been published before until now.
True.
That's great.
And credit to Brian Allison on that. And Brian's dad was Joe Allison, who was a producer and songwriter early in the history of Music Row, and he was involved in Country Music Association, and he had some of those photos, and Brian found them in his collections, and there's some amazing photos that have never been seen at Willie Nelson, Patsy Cline, all kinds of great. We were in awe of the photos.
We were, for sure.
Well, I was prepping for the show last night, and I couldn't hardly put the book down. It's so much fun. But, also, just so our viewers know, that both of you are also in the band Granville Automatic, which has a new EP out, which complements the book, Tiny Televisions. And it's interesting, I thought, how you both intertwine these songs to kind of complement the book.
Yeah, absolutely. We had a record come out 2 years ago called Powerhouse, which was about Nashville's lost history. And that's what led to us getting this book deal. And we had a bunch of songs that we weren't able to really finish for that, or ideas we had. And then we were inspired by some really strange and incredible stories we found with the book. And so we went back in and cut some more songs. And so they are tied in, for sure.
Now, Vanessa, you got to tell me, once again, Granville Automatic, certainly a name that sticks in your mind. How did you both come up with the name for this band?
It's actually the name of an old typewriter. I collect them. So it came sort of out of my love for typewriters. So we searched for a name for a minute that we thought looked kind of cool, and the Granville Automatic was a typewriter made in the late 1800s. And
it's a more romantic sounding name than another typewriter, Blickendorfer.
Yeah.
Good point.
It's good.
Yeah.
Well, and obviously, the great thing, too, though, for both of you is that your band is not a failure. I've got to bring this up. You guys have gotten rave reviews from Rolling Stone, Billboard, the New York Times, raving about your music, which has to be nice because, combined, you guys have also had hits, that other artists have sung, such as Billy Currington and also Sugarland. So kind of coming out with this album, but I mean, a 1-2 punch with an EP like this, Tiny Televisions, and a brand new book during a pandemic. Pretty impressive.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We were very busy last year.
Yeah, I say
not this year.
Yeah, I say people do respond that way often, but the ironic part is the book was due last year and the album was recorded last fall. So there was always intent to release them this year, but we certainly didn't know. We assumed we would be touring behind both things. But you never know. It's been great to have this content, though, to keep in touch with our fans, to have new material during a time where we're, not able to be on the road. So it was fortuitous that we had it all ready to go.
I think it's so impressive, with both of you, creating new music, which I think all of us are seeking out new and inspirational music right now, as most of us are at home. But I think, keeping alive the Nashville history, because that's what really struck me about your book and the album, to where it's so important to all of us that live here to really shine a light on Nashville and the great city it is, and and the creative force and the hotbed of creative people like yourselves that are here. But a lot of people don't know that deep history of Music Row and of Broadway and of Nashville in general. And I think how did you find these interesting stories to include in here? Because it's not your typical stories that you hear.
I think it started with us actually as writers working on Music Row, we signed at BMG for a while, starting to hear some of these more contemporary stories from the last 50 years from different writers, from different people that worked on the route. You hear about a building being haunted or, you know, certain things that happen. And then I think both of us are just curious about the places where neither one of us is here. And I think even when we're on tour, we love to visit historic sites. We love to learn the stories. A lot of them for us are the ghost stories, the personal stories, murder stories. And so I think they just kind of, a lot of stories came to us. And then Vanessa talked to a whole bunch of people. She really...
Yeah, I was more, when divvying out the chapters between the three of us, we really spent a lot of time trying to figure out what strengths belong to whom and who should write what chapter based on those strengths. And so it panned out nicely because I feel like the chapters were already sort of subdivided in that way based on the ones that we came up with. Like, we need to do a chapter on outlaws. And so that became my chapter because I was the most interested in it. So I think we all picked sort of based on our interests and based on our strengths. I'm more of an extrovert, so naturally I'm going to be better with interviewing people, you know, kind of getting the dirt, all that kind of stuff. And Elkins is much better with research and, you know, a lot of very focus-oriented tasks that my ADD brain cannot handle.
We wrote it very differently. It was an interesting 9-month period for the band, for sure.
A book.
Well, yeah, and I got to bring this up too. The way you guys divvied up the chapters, to me, that also kept my attention because I think sometimes when you only have one author, you know, sometimes it can become, you know, redundant. But I think the nice thing is that you play to your strengths. That the chapters really work out much better because it's like going, okay, well that was kind of interesting, but then the next one you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so interested in this. And what I thought was, you know, I could easily see this becoming like a series of books to where it's like, you know, 2, 3, 4. I mean, because there's so many great stories, you know, in and around Nashville. But you guys really cultivated some unique ones. And I thought, wow, if they've already found all these, you know, what other ones do they have in their hip pocket going, you know, maybe for the next book?
That's what we're, the next book is called Lost Music Row. And it's very interesting because as a first-time author, it's really impossible to create legitimacy for yourself out of thin air. And so I think trying to reach out to certain people, to talk to them, get them in interviews for the book, to get them to be a part of the book was really kind of pulling teeth a little bit. Like, well, you're okay, cool, you're writing a book. Well, now it's out and there is some legitimacy. So I think that next year we won't meet as much of a wall as we did this year.
Well, I want to make sure that our viewers know for Granville Automatic, the band, and also for your new book through Arcadia Publishing, Hidden History of Music Row, where should viewers go to be able to buy the book? I know it's available everywhere, but also with your album, hopefully, you know, some virtual tours and real tours down the road. Where should viewers go?
Well, you did mention your book wasn't signed, and I'm sorry about that. But if people like a signed copy, they can go to granvilleautomatic.com.
Yeah, you can just click on the book or click on store. It'll all take you there where you can order an autographed copy from us. You can also get an actual CD there of all of our records. And of course, the album is also available on Spotify, Apple Music, Pandora, all the streaming services.
And the book is available on Amazon.
Yeah,
and
Amazon,
all the
Barnes and
places.
Nobles.
Barnes and Nobles.
It's like the Krogers and the Walmarts. Golly.
But I think viewers are better off going to your website and getting a signed copy. And then they can also either download the album, Tiny Televisions, or buy a hard copy of that as well. I just want to tell you both, Vanessa and Elizabeth, congratulations on the new book and the new album. I can't wait to read the next book, and I just hope you guys keep doing a whole series. But what a great achievement to do a book and an album in 1 year and get them both out. So, Granville Automatic, thank you for coming on the Rockin' Review.
Well, thank you.
Eric.
Thank you so much, Eric.
Sponsored by the Big 98, Nashville's #1 for new country and the home of a Bobby Bones Show.